Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ball Not Court Podcast host Cortez Paul.
Along with my co-host Paul Mack.
I want to thank you folks for tuning in today and listening to the show. Basically, we cover basketball, football, NCAA, or anything that's related to current events with a humorous twist to it, at least. You can follow the podcast at BIOC Podcast at X or Twitter. We're also on Instagram at the same name, BIOC Podcast. You go to our YouTube channel, that's also BIOC Podcast. Our Facebook page is Balls Not Court Podcast. So if you could please just give us a like, shout, comment on any of those, and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Balls Not Court Podcast. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Ball Not Court Podcast. Cortez Paul is here. Paul Mack is also here.
We're here, baby.
And a familiar face that hasn't been on the show in a while, Mr. Brad Renner.
Yes, sir. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, live from his garage. Tim the Toolman Taylor. What's up, bro?
Oh, man. Home improvement, man.
When everybody else is sick, you find the least virus
contaminated place in the house.
Oh, man. Brother, hey, it's good to have you, man. Good to see you.
Good to be back.
Yeah, man. This man been hosting trivia and working hard and the weather outside and managing.
Cleaning up after the hurricane.
Oh, still?
No, we're done. Thank God.
Beautiful, beautiful. Mr. Mack, how's it going for you on your way outside of town? Everything good?
Yes, sir. We're good, bro. Jello Ball dropped the song of the winter, bro. Keeping everybody warm with that hot fire he got going on over there.
What's the name of the song?
Tweaker, baby. Goes a little something like this.
Going for the win. I've been geeked up in this booth. I got my blunt pack for the starter. Nigga, don't be acting new. They put some hoes all through your body.
Get him, Jello. Get him, Jello. Get him, Jello.
Swag. Oh, so much swag. Dude has been trying to find an NBA team to play on, and he's making hip-hop bangers at the beginning of 2025.
Whatever pays the bills.
Hey, starts out 2025 with a bang, so nothing wrong with that. So, good on my end over here. Got some good news. Paulo's coming back in a few days.
Saw that.
So, very exciting news. Magic held down.
You'll be there for him too, won't you? Because the home game is coming back, right?
Yeah. I don't know if he's coming back either. I'm guessing Friday. We're playing the T-Wolves on Thursday, and then we got on Friday?
Milwaukee.
Yes, thank you. We got the Bucks on Friday. So the whole Giannis and Paolo matchup. Let's go, man. I'm excited. So,
got a big one over the Knicks the other day.
Big one over the Knicks.
We owe them.
That's what, 2 out of 3 this year?
3 out of y'all got 3 out of 4. We won the 1 there. So I already knew Carnegie Town wasn't playing. So I was like, yeah, that rebound's gonna be available. And Orlando they're tough, man. After having a stinker against the Jazz, they came out and beat the Knicks. Their basketball is weird, man.
I had to check on Saul after that one because I don't know if you listened, but he was very adamant on Cole Anthony, and Cole Anthony had himself quite the game against the New York Knicks the other day.
Yes, I kind of blew that tweet up on X and remind a lot of people, and so I got called out there. So, yeah, Magic and Knicks, man. You just hope for a playoff series. It'd be fun from a fan's perspective. Paul is the cool, even kill Knicks fan.
I'm the rare one.
Yeah, there's a few that are really even killed, and I know a few, and Paul's one of them. So the rest of them are
pretty hype about their team. So just let them live there. Just, it is what it is. But hey, we're not here to talk about basketball, man. I can talk about it all day, but we got something coming up this weekend, man. So
playoffs.
Oh, we're talking about playoffs?
Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 ba, ba, ba.
Playoffs.
That's right. It's here, baby.
Not practice.
Playoffs are here. Two of y'all got teams got skin in the game. I don't. So here we are.
Super Wild Card Weekend. As you can say, Paul, I'm very excited that my team is in.
You got skin in the game, baby. You got skin in the game.
Yeah. And listen, since 2015, man, I haven't seen playoffs, so I'm ecstatic.
I know where you're gonna be. I know exactly where you're gonna be.
So Sunday, I am off because I'm working this crazy schedule during the week right now. I'm doing hazmat training, so usually I'm off Tuesday and Wednesdays. Not this week. I've been
let Brad get a suit.
Yeah, got you, Brad. Got that hazmat. We've been working on Andrew Highness ammonia, so we've been trying to make sure we're squared away for that. So, and I told my boss I'm not going to work 6 days, so I'm taking Sunday off because the Broncos got a game at 1 and the Magic got a game at 6. So I'll be a busy individual that Sunday. And I'm glad I got Monday off because I'm gonna need to recover.
So where are you starting at?
Probably the hole. The game's at 1. Then I can go ahead and recoup for a little bit and then go watch the Magic game.
Get your pregame in before your pregame.
Yeah. The hole in Casey's, man. Pray for me.
Well, pray for them. Pray for
your liver.
Right, exactly. Tito Tez would be unleashed that day.
Tito Tez.
Oh boy, should be fun.
The Tasmanian Devil's coming out, baby. You don't know.
Oh man, I'm telling you. So, football is
very
back.
Rare
man.
occasion do you see the Tito Tez.
It may be an appearance depending on my team results on those days. So,
well, either way, you could let the Tito Tez out.
Yes, and I know people on this show need to see that part of Tito Tez or Cortez. So, different alter ego that we need to hang and make sure that is under wraps. But start off Saturday. Luckily, I get off at a good time so I can watch all these football games. 4:30, you got the Los Angeles Chargers playing the Houston Texans. It's going to be on 4:30 p.m. on CBS. And I'm going to start with you, Paul. What is one thing that impressed you about either of these teams? You can go with either the Chargers or the Texans, and thoughts on that. What's one thing that really impressed you throughout the season?
I think it's got to be the Chargers, right? First-year coach Jim Harbaugh coming in. You know, they lost Austin Eckler. They're just Justin Herbert's playing to his potential. I think no one really saw them coming. And I think that's kind of what they got going for them. You always got to look out for those teams that kind of playing with house money a little bit. I know they've made some runs in previous years and they always kind of fall short, and that's been kind of been the thing on Justin Herbert. But he's always kind of been hurt. He's never been healthy this late in the season. So like you gotta kind of be rooting for the Chargers a little bit. Like it's a cool story. Jim Harbaugh just seems to win wherever he goes. Harbaughs have a decent track record in the postseason in the NFL. So I'm really looking forward to see what they can bring. Obviously, the Texans have been pretty banged up this year, losing Stephon Diggs early. They lost Tank Dell. That's tough. They're hurt pretty bad, but they do have a really good defense, a top 5 defense in the league. So, a defensive-oriented head coach and DeMeco Ryans. So I think it's one of those matchups, man, a really strong offense versus a really strong defense, and we'll see who breaks first.
Absolutely, man. You mentioned about Harbaugh. Team the year prior had 5 wins, and now they have 11 wins. So very much of an improvement by adding Jim Harbaugh and getting things in place. Look like it's been a very good run for the Chargers. So, Mr. Renner, Brad Renner, your opinions on what's one thing that impressed you about either of these teams, the Texans or the Chargers?
I kind of actually want to go with the Texans on this one. C.J. Stroud had a really good year last year, and usually you see some kind of fall off after their first, second year, where teams start to kind of pick up on their tendencies and what he likes to do. But I think a lot of that had to do with the Joe Mixon signing. Now he's got a decent quality running back, and he had some weapons until, Tank Dell and Diggs went out. So they were rolling there for a little bit, but, the injury bug bites everybody. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But at the same time, kind of like Paul was saying, I'm kind of excited to see what the Chargers do, see if they can get over that hump.
All right. Good stuff, man. And as Paul mentioned and Brad mentioned about the Texans, they're been balancing stuff, and it seemed like that C.J. Stroud is having a look down season compared to what he had. He came on to kind of took the lead by surprise, or not really to me by surprise, but the talent that he possessed. So Houston, as Paul mentioned about their defense, they're fifth in turnovers created and got 29 total for the season. So that's one thing that they do very well, is put a lot of pressure to create turnovers and get them at possessions and try to flip that possession to field. So very good look for them. So Brad, who's the S factor for you in this Chargers and Texans game? What one player you think should be able to stand out, or who are you looking forward to really show up?
I want to see if Derwin James can keep that Houston Texans defense in check, or offense in check.
All right. Yeah, you got Nico Collins, who got 1,000 yards and got 7 touchdowns and got about 19 yards per reception. So he's a threat that can be happening. So what can Derwin, or as many people in Polk County reference him to as Pooh Bear, because he's from here. Pooh Bear. So see how that plays out, because like you said, you got a Miller Pack offense, number one scoring defense. So we see how that works out. Mr. Mack, who's your S factor for either of this team here? Who you looking to stand out for you in this game?
I'm gonna roll with C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's a guy where, like Brad was saying, he had a historic rookie season. Obviously, that he fell from the ranks a little bit, but obviously he had a lot of injuries and things happen. But these are the kind of games that make a player, right? We always have to see the quote unquote elite quarterbacks win playoff games. I think this is his time. I think this is his time where he has to show that he can take the Texans, banged up or not. That can't be an excuse. This late in the season, injuries happen. You have a veteran running back in Joe Mixon. So you have some reliable pieces around you, a really strong defense. I think he has to just make plays, not turn the ball over, and just give his team a chance to win. I'm not asking him to go out there and have some, Lamar Jackson-esque game or whatever, but just, manage the game, play smart. Don't seem like the moment's too bright for you, and have yourself a moment, because every young quarterback needs to have that moment. And if you can get your, second-year quarterback to get you a playoff win, that's huge. So I'm gonna go with C.J. Stroud.
Definitely. I'm gonna give a shout out to the Houston's offense, because they really are really good at making sure they managing turnovers. They're 11th in the league, almost top 10 with 19 total turnovers. So they are one of the better teams that don't really turn over the ball. So Chargers, to kind of mulch this game up, they need to create turnovers. So as Brad mentioned about Derwin James and putting pressure on them and try to get some deflections and put some balls out there for potentially to get intercepted or create some turnovers. So that's one thing I see, that pretty much what Houston needs to be successful is make sure to turn over the ball, what they've been doing. Because if the Chargers can create some turnovers, then it's going to be a long day. So, and a question for this one game here: who wins? And Brad, start over you. Who wins this game? And give me a score if you feel compelled to.
I think it's going to be the Chargers. I don't think it's going to be by much. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say by 4. I'm not going to give an exact score, but I think about by 4. That's what I'm going to go with.
Okay. Mr. Mack?
I'm going to take the Chargers 21-18.
All right. And I think it'll go across the board. I'm going to take the Chargers to win as well. And I think it'll be a close game. I'm going to go 24-21 Chargers end up pulling it out on the road. So, all right. And next, your 8 o'clock game, that's going to be on Prime Video. It's going to be Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Baltimore Ravens. We got a Steelers fan on the podcast right now. I'm glad he came back. So I know he was very excited to break down this game. So let's start off with Mr. Brad. What is one thing that really impressed you about either of these teams? And start off with your Steelers, sir.
I am just surprised we limped into the playoffs. It got ugly real quick there toward the end of the year. They turned into your typical Steelers, good through November and disappear in December. So it seems to happen every year. The standard is the standard up until December. Oh, I think it's going to be it's a divisional game. These teams always play each other with reckless abandon. So it's either going to be really good or really bad. I don't think there's a middle ground. If we get if we got Danger Russ, we'll be all right, like we did toward the middle of the season. But if we get Denver Russ, it's going to get ugly real quick.
Oh no!
Nice, Mr. Mack. What is one thing that impressed you about either of these teams?
Pittsburgh's defense, right? It's a tough ask when you're going up against the number one offense in the league. Baltimore does average 425 yards a game. But like we've said all year, I think if Pittsburgh can somehow keep this game ugly, they have a chance. But it's just you're gonna have to try to stop that offense, and the way Derrick Henry's running, the way Lamar Jackson can run, the way they can stretch the field. Isaiah Likely's a threat down the seam. It's just going to be a matter of if you can get pressure. Obviously, Baltimore's defense has not been great. They're in the bottom. They're in the bottom of the league in defense, but again, they are the best offense, so they do have that. I guess the best cure for a terrible defense is a superior offense. But I just think Pittsburgh's got to just find a way to make it ugly. It's a tough ask. You're on the road. You're in Baltimore. But, TJ Watt and those boys are going to have to just get as much pressure on Lamar as possible, try to prevent Derrick Henry from getting his big runs. Obviously, he's okay with his little 2-3 yarders, but then he always breaks a big one, and that big one's what gives Baltimore a lot of the momentum. So he's got to keep Henry contained. Let Lamar try to beat you. I think we're still at a phase where, especially in the postseason, you kind of want Lamar Jackson to beat you. And I think that's where we're at, man. It's a tough ask. I said Pittsburgh's kind of going the wrong way at the wrong time, considering how they started the season off. But you have a head coach at Mike Tomlin who's been there before. So if there is a head coach that can kind of rally the troops in this situation, you'd think it could be him. I know there's been some locker room stuff that's made its way out, and people are kind of pointing fingers at each other, and there seems to be some accountability issues within the Steelers organization right now. But it's the playoffs, man, and this guy's been there a bunch. And I think if there's a head coach that can come up with a scheme or a game plan, it'd be him. So we'll see. I just hope it's not Baltimore gets ahead early and then it's just a wrap after that. I just want to see Pittsburgh keep it just ugly and play that AFC North, football.
If they can, like you were saying, if they could keep it close, if they could go down and get a score early and put Lamar behind. Lamar is notorious for having playoff troubles when he gets behind. That's when he likes to turn the ball over. So if we can get that, we can go down, get a field goal, get a touchdown, put him behind, make him put the ball in the air instead of turning around and handing it to Derrick Henry all day. I forget where I was listening to the radio on the way home. Someone said out of the 1,900 yards Derrick Henry had, he has over 1,000 of them after contact. Mm-hmm. So that means he almost has 1,000 yards pre and post contact, which is ridiculous by the Yulee freight train.
Yeah, he ain't playing, man. So, as y'all guys mentioned, the game's got to be ugly from Pittsburgh's standpoint. And to mention that does bode well for him because Pittsburgh create turnovers and the best in the league at doing that. They had 33 for the season. So, for them to do that, they need to continue to create turnovers in that fashion. So, story that I like to talk about, Lamar Jackson, historical season. He broke Michael Vick's rushing record, all-time season rushing record. So, very much accolades. It's fun to see, or it's beautiful to see that just some of these quarterbacks that kind of plan a path, or certain quarterbacks that kind of does it differently as far as like scrambling and playing outside the pocket and being able to play a different way. Lamar Jackson is having, and of course it's debatable between who's having an MVP-like season. He's one of those guys that's debated having an MVP-like season. Lamar Jackson is the first player in NFL history to have 40 touchdowns and fewer than 5 interceptions. No quarterback has ever done that, and he's actually thrown 4 interceptions. So it's just been an impressive season from Lamar Jackson's standpoint and where he has got the team at and rolling as a team that they're facing right now. Pittsburgh, that was pretty much had a division lead for some time, as Brad and Paul mentioned before, that they just start trending the wrong direction. So, but yeah, the storyline for Lamar Jackson depends where he finishes in the MVP race. Really good race between him, Josh Allen, just name it, Saquon Barkley is in this race as well. So there's just a few players that really didn't have a great season, and Lamar Jackson has been just an impact player even more, having a Derrick Henry at his disposal in the backfield. So who's the X factor for this game? And I'm gonna start with Brad. This is he know the AFC North. He knows the opponent very well, and I'm pretty sure he was a breakdown who is X factor for both sides of the teams, the fields here.
I don't think it's so much in one single person. I think it's going to be that defensive line. If they can hit Lamar early and often, it's going to get in his head and, possibly create those yips where his mental clock starts to run a little bit faster than what it is. Get some turnovers, maybe get that signature TJ Watt strip sack.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to come down to the defense. If the defense can put pressure and not allow those big chunk plays like they did last time that we played the Ravens, we should be okay. Not going to be perfect, but manageable.
Yeah, you mentioned a good thing there, Brad, about making sure they create the turnovers. Lamar Jackson has thrown 4 interceptions I mentioned previously, but he does have 10 fumbles on the season. And on the flip side, TJ Watt leads the Steelers defense with 6 forced fumbles, which they have 22 as a team. That really determines the kind of game we get here between the Steelers and the Ravens, because in the first victory that the Steelers won, they created 3 turnovers. Steelers lost in week 11, and they only had 1 turnover. So I let you know that you put pressure and get Lamar Jackson to phone the ball, put some pressure on their offense, and you give Russell and that offense a short field. Then, as Paul and Brad mentioned earlier in this segment, the games become ugly. And you can start getting possessions, and you can start knocking field goals and create turnovers and make it an ugly game. Put more emphasis on a run, and you put 7 in the box. So it's a lot of things you can do when you create turnovers. Your defense philosophy can change whenever you're getting these additional turnovers and creating opportunities for your offense. That Brad and Paul can admit that the Steelers' offense isn't really dynamic. They got some dynamic pieces, but it's not really dynamic. But if you can go ahead and create opportunities and get turnovers on that side of the ball, then here's to say what could happen. So, Paul would like to chime into this. Who's some of your X factors for both of these games?
I mean, I feel like both X factors have to come from Pittsburgh. I feel like you mentioned before, TJ Watt. I just think you have to have just an elite edge rusher to get that pressure on Lamar Jackson. I mean, he had 11 and a half sacks this year, 61 tackles. So, I mean, he's a disruptor. It's just he has to put pressure on Lamar Jackson. He has to get him kind of, throwing the ball before he wants to. Obviously, you don't want him to break contain too bad because you don't want him out in the open field. So there's always that too. But you got to be able to get pressure in the backfield. We know Derrick Henry, lives for the contact, but you got to hit him at the line of scrimmage. You can't let him get 5-10 yards deep into the second level and then expect your secondary to try to bring him down. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on the lineman. So TJ Watt is going to have to, come out prepared and just whatever he's got to do, he's got to just go at Lamar Jackson. It's going to be TJ Watt every snap, 100 miles per hour. And he just has to try to just disrupt plays because Lamar is, like you've said, he's susceptible to the turnover. He will turn it over. He hasn't this year. Obviously fumbles, yeah, but not really interceptions. But he is vulnerable to coughing the ball up if you get to him. So, be interesting to see how they handle that. Obviously, I imagine there'll be a lot of double team and stuff on the outside to prevent that from happening. Kind of let the other defensive guys try to stop you. But and then obviously Russell Wilson. This could be the last ride for Russell Wilson. The way the season started, the way everything has been with him in Pittsburgh. Obviously, when things were going great, it was good. But now that they're kind of falling, he's taken some of that, with him, and it's just a matter of where does the Russell Wilson experiment end in Pittsburgh? Is this it? Is it a monumental collapse to where you were, running away with the division, and now you're hanging on for dear life going into Baltimore to get knocked out in the wild card round? Mm-hmm. It'd be a tough loss for Russ. And then, just where does he go from here? Because I imagine after a season ending the way that it has, that this could potentially be the last we maybe see of Russ. And that'd be a tough way for him to go. But also if he can somehow keep his team in it and they can pull off an upset, who knows, man? Just Russ is one of those guys, man, when he needs something to happen, it tends to happen for him. I don't know what it is, but you just kind of hate to see a guy go out the way he went out, the way he left Seattle, how things went in Denver, to being in Pittsburgh and they're bringing in Fields and Fields being the guy, and then they take Fields out, put Russ in, they go on a run. So, Russ has got to make plays. He's got some weapons to do it. The Ravens defense is vulnerable. It's just a matter of which Russell Wilson shows up. So for me, it's Russ on the offensive side and then definitely TJ Watt on the defensive side.
Yeah, if they put up 91 yards by halftime like they did against Cincinnati last week, it's going to be over real quick.
Real quick.
Gotcha. All right, well, we're going to start with Paul first, and we'll go with Brad last. So, Paul, who are you picking to win the game?
I'm going to go Baltimore 35-20.
All right, I'm going Baltimore as well. I think it's going to be 28-13. Brad?
I'm going to go.
Your boys?
No, I'm not picking my boys. I think they're going to get the losing end of the deal on this one. I think it's probably going to be 35-17.
Okay.
Yeah, if they get down early, it's just a matter of how bad, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Pittsburgh becomes one-dimensional, it's just going to be a sack fest.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to the Sunday slate of games. And the first Sunday game is at 1:00 p.m. on CBS. It is the Denver Broncos traveling to the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to go with the guest first. And Paul, you've been hearing me kind of talk about my Broncos, and I've been going through them.
That's right. I'm going to go quick. I'm going to go quick because I'm going to give you the floor on this one. So just go ahead, give it to whoever you want.
All right. So Paul, go ahead and what's some things that impressed you about the Broncos and the Bills, and let's go.
I mean, for me, it's just Buffalo just being here, right? Like just with the pieces they lost, losing Stephon Diggs, kind of having the season they had last year. Miami was up and coming. Miami fell off. The Buffalo Bills still proved it was their division. And Josh Allen is, having the season of his career without, a guy who was his main guy for a majority of it, which is huge. You're bringing in Amari Cooper, big signing. They got two dynamic tight ends. James Cook's running the ball really, really well. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of the things where, you think that this team is making a turn. Like the rest of the division will catch up with them, and here they are, number one seed in their division. The number 2 seed overall behind Kansas City. And it's just an impressive season for Buffalo. I mean, like it's just a matter of they've been here before. How deep can they get? Can they finally make that turn and get to a Super Bowl? So, you could have as good of a regular season as you want. Josh Allen could be an MVP candidate all he wants, but at the end of the day, it's nut up or shut up time in the playoffs. And, they led the league in turnovers this year. So you love to see that going up against a rookie quarterback. They were plus 24 in turnover differential. So that's huge. They're not turning the ball over and they're causing turnovers. And when you're up against a team like Denver, who has struggled to run the football, you put yourself in a prime opportunity to make it a one-dimensional offense for Denver. And if Bo Nix has to drop back and throw it 40 times, odds are he's going to make some mistakes. So you have to look for that. And on the flip side, the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton got them boys believing. 10 wins. Wild. The over-under was like 5.
5.5.
So, that's huge. Start, throwing Bo Nix out there from jump, letting them, riding with him and letting them kind of figure it out as he went along. And, with the mistakes and everything else, just let him know he's your guy and putting the faith in him. And Sean Payton really showing that, he's a hell of a head coach, especially for, a young quarterback. Denver does have a top 10 defense in the league. They're like the 7th best defense in the league. So they do have that going for them, but it's just their inability to run scares me. And I think that can really, dampen the mood for you if they can't get the ball moving some type of way early. They have to establish the run somehow, some way between all those running backs you guys use, between Bo Nix, somebody. They have to establish some kind of run because they have to be able to manage that clock and not allow, Buffalo to get those extra possessions where, Josh Allen can just carve you up and hurt you.
Gotcha. Mr. Brad, what's something that impressed you about either of these teams?
Well, Cortez, going into this season, I think you and I sat at the bar that one time and had a long, hard conversation about them predicting us to be at the bottom of the barrel of our divisions.
Yes, we did.
And here we are in the playoffs. But no, I'm really impressed with Bo Nix. Like Paul was saying, being a rookie, just getting thrown to the wolves, sink or swim. He's actually led this team to a decent record to the playoffs as a rookie. It's impressive to see some of these rookies coming out of college now and getting thrown to the wolves and show that they can lead.
100%, man. As y'all guys know, I was not a believer. I criticized the pick and was like, Bo Nix. And I want to apologize to Bo Nix because I thought I was getting Auburn Bo Nix. And I didn't watch as much tape as I should on Oregon because this guy is playing pretty well. Paul mentioned our running game has been suspect by far. Javonte Williams, who is supposed to be our guy, I don't know, this may be his last season here. And this draft coming up has a lot of good running backs. So if your team needs a running back, this is the draft. Ashton Gently and Cam Scatterboo, to name a few. This is going to be a really good draft for running backs. So yeah, coming out, watching preseason, watching Bo Nix, I'm like, okay, this guy got some tools that we can work with, but I still need to see some more. And lo and behold, man, I mean, we've been through so many quarterbacks through this team, man. I mean, I can go through it, man. Like we had Paxton Lynch, we had Drew Lock, we had Brock Osweiler. I mean, that was dating back to Peyton Manning retired in 2015, and that's the last time that the Denver Broncos saw the playoffs. So Bo Nix to lead this feat with 1,000-yard receiver in Cortland Sutton. There's no other receiver on this team that has 1,000 yards. Running backs. Javonte Williams leads our running backs with 513 yards. It's unheard of how this team is winning games. But, man, it's this historic defense that's just been up to par. Like, this Denver defense is unreal, man. Like, they lead the NFL in sacks. Like, and this is names that many people are not familiar with. Yeah, I know Nick Bonitto. I know Jonathan Cooper. I know Zach Allen. But not other people don't know these names. And Nick Bonitto has been in discussions about probably being the best defensive lineman in the league this year. Winning awards for that.
I mean, they lead the league like they're like almost 10 sacks up on the like they are getting to
beasts.
They are, yes, and they have players that rotate in and out to make this defensive line just nasty, with just not household names. The only household name is Pastor Tan, and Pastor Tan he's favored to win Defensive Player of the Year as a cornerback. When the last time that happened? It's been a while. It's been a while since they had a Defensive Player of the Year be a cornerback. And this is just the things that they're doing. But Bo Nix, his historic rookie season, he had 29 touchdowns. Second NFL history for a rookie to do that, behind Justin Herbert, who's also from Oregon, and did it in 2020. So, I mean, listen, and that's the thing I fear, because we saw C.J. Stroud had this fantastic rookie season. People got tape on him, and then it just became a struggle. So I expect Bo to probably take a little step back, but Bo is going to figure it out. He's got a great coach in Sean Payton that knows the offense side of the ball. So we'll see what happens. Nonetheless, they're here. They play a tough Buffalo Bills team that, once again, Josh Allen's having an NBA-like season. This is a guy who led an offense with 30 touchdown passes, 32 rushing touchdowns. This is the first NFL team to have 30 passing touchdowns and 30 rushing touchdowns. How they've been doing it has been different. As you saw, they lost pieces. A lot of people was expecting the Buffalo Bills take a step back when Stephon Diggs left this team. You lose your main threat, but Josh Allen has proven that he can win if you put some competent pieces around him. James Cook has been fantastic. So this Buffalo Bills team is no slouch. And I got a little sentimental because Von Miller posted a post that he's excited, and he posted the Wesley Snipes photo saying that, so he's got to do it to us. So I'm pretty sure Von Miller's all in his feelings right now, and I love it because Von Miller's a legend, man. Like, I love that guy. If my Bronco wasn't on the playoffs, I'd probably be like pulling a little bit for the Bills, but we got to play the Bills, so they're enemy number one this week. So super excited. It's very humbling to be here because I know not being in the playoffs for 8 years sucks. You guys have seen postseason quite frequently more than I did, and it's just been, we just sold our soul to the devil. And it just, Peyton Manning came in and won us a ring, and we just have not seen playoffs. The Broncos have not seen playoffs. So very exciting from a Broncos fan standpoint. And to all those people that talk about how the Chiefs, take the game. No, Denver blew them out, and they did what they supposed to do. They weren't going to sit there and play around their food. They blew them out. They got to the playoffs.
They saw how Carson Wentz was dressed up, and they said, this guy is not beating us today.
No. Yeah. And all I got to say is the Bengals, you should have beat the Patriots. How you let Ramondre Stevenson run all over you like that? Not my fault, but all Bengals fans just mad. But hey, see y'all in November. Who's the X factor for this game? And I'll start off with you, Paul. Who's the X factors for these games? This particular matchup here.
I think it's going to be the entire Broncos defense. I mean, they've been doing it for them all year long, and if there's ever a game for them to show up, it's going to be this one. They're going to have to, get as much pressure on Josh Allen as they possibly can, keep James Cook under control, get some of those sacks, because they're going to have to pick up a lot of the slack for the offense. Man, they're going to be on the field a lot, and rotating those guys in and out is going to be huge for them. So, yeah, man, Broncos defense. Pat Surtain. There's not really a number one guy on Buffalo, which is the problem. So, like having a Patrick Surtain against this type of team, where he just spreads the ball around to everybody, is going to be tough. So it's really going to fall on that front seven to just try to get as much pressure as they can, be disruptive, try to get some tip balls, try to get a guy who hasn't turned it over very much this year to get some turnovers. Because, you got a rookie quarterback who's never been through this before. And to go to Buffalo in the wintertime, in January is going to be different, man. There's going to be a bunch of drunk white dudes getting power bombed through tables. It's going to be crazy, man. Bills Mafia,
they're out here.
Always the hypest, bro. They're out here, and I don't know if Bo Nix is mentally prepared for what he's about to see out there, and he's going to need every bit of that defense to step up for him. So, Denver defense, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. Man. All right. Mr. Brad, any S factors for you in any of these games? This game right here between the Broncos and the Bills?
Well, kind of like what Paul was saying. I think it's going to be it's going to be on the Denver defense, because Buffalo can score at will when they want to. They've got the weapons to do it, like he said, and Josh Allen can spread it around he could pretty much pick a target and go with that target. There's no number one standout on the wide receivers. So he will move the ball around. They have they've got a good running back, so he can ding you and donk you too. So it is, and I don't see the weather being as much of a factor, because Denver and upstate New York are pretty similar, as in once November hits, get ready for 12 feet of snow. So I don't think it's going to be as much of a weather. I think it's going to be kind of like what Paul was saying, more of an atmosphere. Is it going to be too big of a moment for Bo Nix? Or can he keep his composure and deal with Bills Mafia in the tables?
The tables.
The tables.
The Dudley boys.
Okay, so for the weather for this game is a high near 28 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, no precipitation for this game. So it's going to be cold, but Denver does come from that mountain area, so hopefully this side that works out. But for a team that already don't have a non-existent running game in the Broncos, it's going to make it a little bit tougher. But as y'all guys mentioned, I do agree. Denver's defense, you got to find a way to sack Josh Allen. People don't forget once they get up to him. Josh Allen is 6'5", 240 pounds, so he's hard to take down. Nick Benito's got 13 having the sacks on the year. Jonathan Cooper's got 10.5 sacks on the year, and Zach Allen's got 8.5 sacks on the year. They got to find a way to moke it up. As we mentioned the last game, got to make it ugly and find a way to pressure Josh Allen, hit him, get him on the ground, let him feel that you're there. Broncos got a front seven enough to be physical with him, but Josh Allen embraces physicality.
I think he'll let you know he's 240 pounds. Like, he's going to remind you, like, he ain't sliding.
No.
And a lot of times he runs to get that team going. Like he is the driving force of that team. So if you're Denver, you want to get him to the ground and you want to let him know that you ain't having it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's gonna be a fun matchup here. So can't wait to see it. All right. Who y'all got win this game? And I start with you, Brad. Who's winning the game? And you got a score?
I'm gonna go 28-24. Buffalo.
Close game. Okay. Mr. Matt.
Think about Buffalo. They don't seem to score a lot. I'm gonna go Buffalo 24-14.
Okay. Now I'm picking Denver, right?
Let's go. Let me go on Hard Rock. What are the odds right now for Denver? Let's find out.
Oh man. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see, Denver plus 340.
Okay. Yeah.
Think it's an ugly game. We can let's get some sacks on Mr. Josh Allen. Make it rough.
I mean, spread's only 8.5.
Yeah. I got Denver pulling this one out in a shock. And it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going 19-17 Denver.
Ooh.
And a weird scoregami score. I don't know if that score has ever existed, but 19-17 Denver. In a weird game. This is a team that Denver can match up well with. But then on the flip side, this is also a game to get away from Denver as well, too. So, just check on me about 3 o'clock, guys.
Over-under 46.5. Okay. So if you follow Cortez's heart, $100 will get you about $900.
There you go.
There you go. You're feeling froggy.
Feeling froggy. So, all right, let's move on to the 4:30 game. The Green Bay Packers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Tom, you could have came on here and on the podium and talk about your Eagles, but you're not here. So, too bad.
Bye, Tom.
So, what is one thing that impressed you about either of these teams? And I start with Brad. The Eagles or the Packers? What's one thing that impressed you about one of these teams?
Well, the Eagles getting Saquon Barkley from the Giants was just stupid to begin with. And then the season started and Saquon Barkley just decided he was going to run over everybody and jump over everybody and jump backwards over everybody. I knew that was going to be a massive pickup, but just in all honesty, I didn't think it was going to be that huge of a pickup for them because it pretty much opened them up to be able to do whatever, whenever, offensively, whenever they want to.
100%, man. Barkley added to this team 2,005 yards, 12 touchdowns. He's accounted for 82 first downs. This is also the second best rush offense in the league. Nearly 3,000 yards and second in rush touchdowns in the NFL with 29. So Saquon Barkley was a huge pickup. So as Paul said, you're welcome from the Giants fan. So Paul, what's your take on either the Packers or the Eagles?
It's funny because we had a segment, before the season even started, and we were just talking about how undervalued the running back position is, and how teams don't want to sign these guys, and you have Tennessee letting Derrick Henry go after the greatest running back in franchise history. Saquon Barkley easily on his way to being the best running back the Giants ever had. And you just throw these guys to the curb, and they get scooped up by Baltimore and Philly, and literally have the two of the greatest seasons we've ever seen out of the running back position, single-handedly between those two guys. I mean, the number 1 and number 2 ranked rush offenses in the league, led by 2 free agent acquisitions who their teams didn't want them, is unheard of. I know for a fact the Giants could have definitely used Saquon Barkley this year with how things were going up in New York, but they just didn't see the value in it. And, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Just sucks that it went to the trash city of Philadelphia. But, I mean, nothing I can do about it now. He's rested too. He didn't play last week, so he's going to be 100%. The only thing you have to really worry about is Jalen Hurts is apparently still in concussion protocol. So, how's his health? How's he going to be? He's a guy who is, as we mentioned before, he is a guy who does turn the ball over. Green Bay does love to capitalize on turnovers. They're plus 12 in turnover differential. Jordan Love tends to not give the ball back. But again, Eagles have the best defense in the league. So you have that going for you as well. So this one is one that I got my eyeballs on that I plan on watching just because this is two really good football teams playing each other. I just hope that Jalen Hurts plays and he's 100%. Because if Philly's going to lose, I want them to lose at their best and not have some excuse or reason why they would lose in the wild card round of the playoffs. Because that's what we all do in this situation. You have the season Philly had, and you'll make some excuse as to why you didn't win the Super Bowl. So, I just hope Jalen Hurts plays, and I hope, this game can be as advertised because Green Bay is a team, similar to when it's so weird how, time plays itself out, right? Aaron Rodgers is behind Brett Favre. Brett Favre leaves, goes to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is starting quarterback. They draft Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. Jordan Love swoops in. And now Jordan Love, if we're playing the Aaron Rodgers curve, this guy's supposed to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years. And I mean, he looks like a kind of guy that can get you there. Green Bay, offensively, defensively, they're a really good team. They have a really, really good head coach. And, you have a quarterback who's been there, who's been through the system. He's very mature. I can really see him coming out making a name for himself in this game against Philly. But it's just Philly's health. If you don't have your starting quarterback, it's going to be a tough one. But I'm really looking forward to this game on Sunday.
I don't know what happens because right now both quarterbacks are questionable. What if we have the backup bowl?
I know Jordan Love. If he could walk, he's playing. It's just a matter of it's a tougher road for Hurts because he was in concussion protocol. So dealing with concussions, he has to get all the green lights. But he hasn't played in a few weeks. They would have rested him last week anyway. So I imagine he'll be good to go. But you know how it goes. Just takes one hit to knock you right back into protocol. So it's tough when you're dealing with concussions, man. I don't want to see anything bad happen to the guy. But
no.
It's a tough thing to come back from with the type of game you're coming back to, a wild card playoff game. So yeah, man, hopefully everyone's at full strength and we get to kind of see the future of the NFL because this is a matchup we're going to see in the postseason for the next,
we'll see
5 to 10 years. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be there. They're going to be battling it out. So. It's going to be the last time, but I want it to be a good one.
Yeah, this is, to me, the game of the weekend to watch. This one's going to be probably the most fun and the most entertaining as far as scoring and just everything involved with it. Two good offenses. Both can put up numbers at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be the game this weekend that I'm going to try and figure out how to get somewhere to watch.
Yeah, should be a fun one there. So, all right. So, who wins this game? And I start with Paul. I know you said it's really based on in a perfect world. Let's just say Jalen Hurts is clear to play. If Jalen Hurts is clear to play, what's the end result of this game?
I think Green Bay's ability to force turnovers ends up being the difference in this game. I think Green Bay, collectively as a unit, there's been times where when Jalen Hurts has to drop back and throw the ball that he's has been the most accurate. He's been very vulnerable to interceptions. Obviously, having Saquon in the backfield helps tremendously. This is a weapon that he hasn't had in the postseason, so that's going to be huge. And then Saquon's a guy who hasn't really been through this either. This is going to be a big stage for him. I don't know how he's feeling about sitting last week and missing out on an opportunity to set the NFL rushing record. So he might come out just like gangbusters and just try to run for 200 yards. Who knows? So it's really a matter of Green Bay's defense being able to force turnovers and just keeping Saquon under control and trying to let Jalen Hurts beat you if he does play, which I'm assuming he will, but let Jalen Hurts beat you. Don't let Saquon beat you. Don't go up the big runs. Don't go up the little dunks out of the backfield. Keep him to third and mediums where they have to kind of keep it to passing situations. And I think Green Bay can really shock some people and win this game, and I think they could easily win it 24-17.
Okay, as you mentioned, Green Bay leads or third in interceptions in the NFL with 17, so they create turnovers. Big part of that. Xavier McKinney, their safety, has 8 interceptions for the year, so big part of what they do. So, Brad, who wins this game between the Eagles and the Packers?
I'm gonna go not Thomas. I'm gonna go Packers 34-31.
34-31. Okay. Yeah, Eagles was kind of going like a little down, so they had a chance to really catch the Lions for the number 1 seed and didn't really take fully advantage, even when Hurts was playing. Home game helps, home field helps, but Packers is a tough get. Packers play very, very well. I got the Packers winning 28-21. So we all agree that the Packers are going to win. Sorry, Tom. Sorry, my other friend Brad who likes the Eagles. Sorry, family. Got a lot of Eagles fans that I know, so probably sure they cuss me out when they see the show. All right, next game, 8 o'clock prime time. This is your final Sunday game. This is the Washington Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Paul, what is one thing that impressed you about either of these teams, the Commanders or the Bucs?
Jaden Daniels.
Dude's a beast.
That's it. Jaden Daniels. I'm excited for the opportunity to get to watch him on TV. Obviously, he's not a person that we just see his highlights, and then an occasional Monday night or Sunday night game he gets on TV. But I'm really excited to see Jaden Daniels. Like that dude is showtime. Like Lamar Jackson is one thing, but the way that Jaden Daniels could throw, and the way that he could run, he runs when he has to. He doesn't run because he can. And I think that's the thing to see out of a young quarterback like that is crazy because obviously they default to if they could run, they're going to run, and running is his last option. Like he cycles through his offense. He hits his weapons. You got Terry McLaurin out there, you got all these guys, and it's just Brian Robinson coming out of the backfield. They're not a team on paper where they have a super explosive offense, which makes the numbers that this guy's putting up that much more insane. And I just think it's going to be just must-see TV. You're going up against a team like Tampa who, they were fighting to get here. It took them, a week 18 victory to get here to lock it up. But, they are at home. They were here last year. They have the pedigree to do it. But I'm in this game for Jaden Daniels and Jaden Daniels only. That's all I want to see.
Gotcha. Brad, any pressure about the Bucs or the Commanders? Any one of these teams?
No, at the beginning of the season, we were having our discussion about who do we think was going to be better, Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Jaden Daniels was going to be better than Caleb Williams. And the fact that he's the leading rusher on the team as well, and his team's in the playoff, it just goes to show that, like Paul was saying, and he doesn't do it. He's not a run-first quarterback. He's a progression, go through everything and run last option. And he's only got 9 interceptions on the year.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, as a rookie quarterback in, well, wasn't the greatest division this year. But usually that division, the NFC East, you've usually got 3 teams neck and neck at the end of the season. Just this year, Dallas just never had it, and New York just couldn't get off the ground. So I think this is going to be a fun one to watch as well, between Baker and Jaden.
All right. Got you. All right. Well, who's the X factor for this game? Is it you still going the theme that it's going to be Jaden Daniels? Because remember, he played the Bucs in week 1, and obviously he looked like a player during the headlights. This is his first game, rookie game, playing against the Bucs. Had 161 passing yards, and that was really it. It's a different Jaden Daniels this time around, right, Paul?
Oh, for sure. But week one's week 1. Like, what are you going to do? That was probably the best time to catch Jaden Daniels was in week 1, because he hasn't looked back since then. And, as good as he is, all the lights and eyes are going to be on him. I think this is going to be one of those games where, which Baker Mayfield is going to show up. Baker's a big, hot and cold guy. Like, he can have a really good game, or he can have a really bad game and get you in a hole early. And it's hard not to root for Baker. Like, the guy's just got a bravado about him that I personally enjoy. I love him being the quarterback of that team with the people that they have, and the injuries and things that they had to overcome. Like, I think if Chris Godwin didn't go down and Mike Evans didn't miss some time, they probably could have ran away with that division. But they overcame. They are susceptible to turning the ball over. Bucky Irving does have some fumble problems. Hopefully they get that worked out. But I'm rooting for Baker, man. I want to see these kind of games where Baker's kind of in the back seat. No one really cares about what Baker's going to do. It's going to be all what Jaden Daniels is going to do. That motivates a guy like Baker to come out and try to, I don't want him to try to outplay Jaden Daniels, because then he's, it may not go that way. But I just think when he gets to play kind of carefree football, because everybody thinks the other guy is so much better than him, that, when he has a chip on his shoulder, you always got to kind of worry about the kind of game you get out of Baker Mayfield. So I'm rolling my boy Bake, and I expect a big game from Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is going to get 2 tutties on Sunday.
Gunslinger Mayfield.
There you go. I know you mentioned Bucky Irvin and his turnover problems, but he has been coming on as a late, the 4th round draft pick from last year's draft from the Oregon Ducks. Did end the season with 207 rush, around 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. And the thing about the Commanders, they give up yards per attempt. It's going to be 4.8. So the ball can be run on them. And that was ranked 28th in the league. So their rushing defense is suspect at best. So if Irvin can control his turnover problems and run the ball and be effective and give Baker 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, Baker Mayfield become more of a dual threat and more dangerous on 3rd down. So it's really going to see how their running game setting up for success to try to win at home. So that's what I'm looking at there. So, bro, who you got winning this game? The Commanders or the Buccaneers?
I know they're underdogs, but they got the better record, so I'm going to go with the Commanders. I think that week 1, like you said, Jaden got that deer in the headlight look out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go 24-21.
Ooh, nice. Mr. Matt?
I'm I just think Jaden Daniels, as good as he's playing, I just don't think Washington's there yet. I could see this game 24-17, Tampa.
I got you. Yeah, Baker's been there before. Jaden's going to learn his way through the path. That running game can open some doors up on the defensive side of the ball. Bucks are doing pretty good at home. I got the Bucks winning nail biter. It's going to be 24-21 Buccaneers to get the win. All right, and then our primetime game, our last game on Monday, wraps up with the Minnesota Vikings versus the Los Angeles Rams. This is on 8 o'clock p.m. on ESPN. Paul, what's one thing that impressed you about either of these teams, the Vikings or the Rams?
For me, it's the Rams. I mean, obviously the story of the year is the Vikings. No one thought Minnesota was going to come out of nowhere with the offseason they had and Sam Darnold taking over. We can just go ahead and give that team all the awards, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, all that. But I feel like the Rams were a team too that, I mean, they were kind of written off too, and they're one of those teams getting hot at the right time. I said 3 weeks ago that I don't know if I'd want to play the Rams in the playoffs, the way they're playing. So, Detroit really put it to the Vikings last week. I know it was a very important game. All the starters played. That was basically the simulation of a potential NFC championship, and the Lions basically factory reset Sam Darnold to looking like Sam Darnold. So, what Sam Darnold do we get? Obviously, the defense is great. Obviously, the dancing's fun. They're all loose, having a good time, but it's all about, the postseason is all about teams who have been there before, who's been here before, who's gone through it. The Rams aren't that far off from a Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl 4 years ago. So this is new territory for the Vikings for Sam Darnold. And obviously, I think he's made pretty deep playoff runs as a backup quarterback. But for him to be the guy going into LA to play the Rams, it's a tough ask. And it's if the Vikings can get going offensively, you get Justin Jefferson the ball, you get Addison the ball, you get Aaron Jones running. Anything could happen. So this is another one, man. Like, these two NFC games on Sunday are massive, man. This one is right up there with the Packers game. I just think this is going to be one of those games that I'm going to be glued to the couch watching this one the whole way through, because the story of the Vikings has been, incredible. Just the fact that they were playing the Lions for the best record in the NFC, to then fall to the wild card and go against the Rams, who are just red hot right now. They're healthy at the right time.
Yeah.
Puka's back, Cooper Kupp's back, Stafford's playing good. Kerryon Williams was a touchdown machine at the beginning of the season. So they've done all the things they've had to overcome injury, and sometimes you always got to worry about the team that gets hot late, and this is one of those teams. Great head coach in Sean McVay. For the sake of the rest of the NFC, I would hope the Vikings win this game, but I'm going to be going for the Rams.
All right. Now, you mentioned about the Rams and how they were missing Puka, who missed 7 games, and Kupp, who missed 7 games, and yet they're top 10 passing offense in yards, a shade under 4,000 yards. So very impressive from their standpoint amidst dealing with the injuries that they have been dealing with. So none with that there. So, Brad, let me get to you, man. Who is the S factor for you in either of these games, this game or which team, either team? Who is the S factor for you, for either Vikings or the Rams?
My X factor?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Puka. Good. He's been dealing with some injuries. So, I mean, we've seen it. What was it? It's the Rams Super Bowl. Odell went down early, and Cooper Kupp stepped up. So if they've got the pieces to be similar to the Lions. If they can simulate the Lions' offense against Minnesota, I think it's going to be a runaway.
Okay. Who's your X-factor for you, Paul? Either team.
I mean, I feel like you got to go Sam Darnold. I think he's going to have to, not look the way he did against the Detroit Lions last week. He's going to have to, take care of the ball, not turn it over. He has some turnovers this year, and it's just, you don't want to get into a gunslinging competition with Matthew Stafford. I think that's the thing is you just have to manage Sam Darnold, let him manage the game, play it smart, utilize Aaron Jones. You got two weapons on the outside in Justin Jefferson and Addison. So, let your receivers cook and do their thing. Both huge yard after catch kind of guys, big play guys. So, just protect your quarterback. Don't put him in a position to make any bad throws. And I think, Minnesota gives themselves a chance to really make some noise. But the Rams offense is just
hot.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Them operating at full strength like that is going to be crazy. And, we'll see. But Sam Darnold, he can't try to outshine Matt Stafford. He has to just go be Sam Darnold and just do what he's done all year. I think they have a chance.
Yeah, even if they fall behind, the Vikings have the weapons to play catch up real quick. So you can't get down early and start to panic. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Whichever team gets down and starts to panic, you're going to be able to tell real quick.
1%, man. My S factor is going to be the Rams front line. Sam Darnold has been sacked 48 times this year, which is fourth in the NFL. The Rams are 22nd as a unit in the league with 38 sacks. So kind of watch that for the game whenever you watch this game here and see if Sam Darnold gets to the ground or Sam Darnold avoids and his jersey stay clean. And if one or the other kind of has the point there that someone's going hot and someone's not, probably because one is not getting sacked or a team not getting the sack. So from the Rams' point of view, Rams allow 29 passing touchdowns, which is ranked 26th in the NFL. As you guys mentioned before, Justin Jefferson's got 10 touchdowns on the year. Jordan Addison's got 9. Naylor's got 6 touchdowns. So their wide receivers are very good. Probably one of the better trios in the league that Sam Darnold has to throw to. So very fun core to watch with the wide receiver that Sam Darnold's got to work around with. So if the Rams let their cornerbacks get beat and Sam Darnold's pick them alive, it coincides with Sam Darnold not getting sacked. He's got time to pass the ball, and he's eating them alive. And that could be a correlation of the S factors that I have chose here. So, Mr. Brad, last game of the Super Wild Card Weekend. Is it the Vikings or is it the Rams who's victorious? Who you got winning this game, sir?
I'm going to go Vikings. I'm going to go 24-23.
24-23. Paul Matt, who you got winning this game, sir?
I'm going to go Rams 27-21.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Vikings, and I think it's a shootout. I think it's going to be 38-31. The Vikings end up winning the game. All right. That wraps up our Super Wild Card Weekend, and I'm going to see if Paul got a segment before I wrap this up here. Do you have a This Guy Stinks segment, Paul? Or should we close this bad boy?
Nah, there's too much to look forward to, man. Just too much going on, man.
Okay.
Nah, we're good.
All right, man.
I'll tell you who stinks. The New Orleans Pelicans are getting absolutely destroyed right now. So I guess they stink. But
Zion Williamson back though.
That's fine. They're down by almost 40 points to the Portland Trail Blazers. So,
that's bad. Yeah, they do stink.
New Orleans Pelicans, y'all stink, and y'all got to make some trades because Zion ain't it.
How about Florida blowing out Tennessee in basketball?
Yeah, man. I need to start watching college basketball more with the Gators, man. I got yelled at by some of my guys. I was like, listen, I go to too many Magic games to sit there and watch college basketball, but I heard they're doing very well, man. Before we do go here, I guess I can do a quick segment here. Because we do got the college football playoff schedule Thursday and Friday. Number 6 Penn State, number 7 Notre Dame. Who wins that game, Paul?
Notre Dame. They're going to win it for Rudy.
Brad, Penn State or Notre Dame? Who you got?
We are Penn State.
I second that. I think Penn State's going to win it all, and I think Penn State win this game. Friday, January 10th, Texas at Ohio State. Paul, who wins the game? Texas and Ohio.
I'm gonna go Ohio State. I'm a fan of any time the entire country is saying you should fire your head coach, and then you go out and you really just smash Oregon. You really just destroy Oregon. So that's a big just shut up to the world. So I'm gonna go Ohio State.
Tennessee's having a rough week, ain't it? A rough few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Brad. Who you got?
I think Ohio State. I think Ohio State's gonna run away with it. I think Ohio State gonna do what they did to Texas, like they did to Oregon.
I got you, and I'm going Texas to win the game. I got Texas to beat Ohio State. I know Ohio State's coming in hot. And Texas has been barely winning, but Quinn Ewers figure it out and pull up a impressive victory against Ohio State. All right, let's close this bad boy. All right, Paul, give me your socials. Where you at?
Yes, sir. I'm on X at _Paul_Mac. On Instagram at thepaulmac520. Holla at your boy.
Shout it. Brad, no socials. You just Brad.
Just Brad.
just Brad. Just Brad.
I need to get you. We're gonna have to sit down one day and figure out
Get you a Twitter. Get you a Twitter. You need to be on Twitter, man, because you're a sports guy, especially baseball. I know you'll be all tapping to that, man. One day I like to get Brad to kind of run the show with baseball. Get another baseball guy here, and we still have some content around here. Paul,
I know baseball. We can do baseball. We got baseball.
Okay,
I got you.
I got you.
Paul, we got plans. We got plans for 2025, baby. Don't worry about it. We'll be in your ear holes. We'll be in your ear holes. Don't worry.
Okay, so while I enjoy some mojitos, Brad and Paul, I can do some baseball. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Or some Tito's. There it is. So
Mojitos.
Yeah. There it is. You can follow me at
Cortez out.
You can find me at _CP on that. You also can get the podcast page on that at BLC Podcast, YouTube BLC Podcast, Instagram BLC Podcast, TikTok, where we've been getting shown a lot of love at BLC Podcast. And you can also go to our Facebook page, Balls on Court Podcast. Give us a like, comment, shout there. Yeah, we're also on Radiate.fm, right, Paul?
Yes, sir. Every Thursday.
Yeah, 3:00. So you want to check us out, Internet Radio. They do got the Balls on Court show on there. So I'm very blessed to have the show on Internet Radio. So, Brad, you get to hear your voice on Internet Radio. Feel popular, huh?
Let's go.
Brad's like, yes, you can hear me on Internet Radio.
Mama,
I can hear myself on the radio.
Mama, I'm on the tube, Mama. I'm on the tube.
I don't know if they get FM back in Southern Illinois though.
The Wi-Fi and the best, huh? So yeah, make sure you get the podcast where you got before iTunes, TuneIn Radio, wherever you get the podcast. So show us some love there. But yeah, closing up this podcast here. Enjoy some football weekend. A lot of it. College, pro, basketball full in effect. Paulo is back. Leandro Bottom dropped the rap song.
Your body, I'm like, all the hoes is cool. Let them in if that shit water. water, got my green light to red dot. If you spot me, ho, I'm sorry, I can't take
it. Let's go.
Speaking for Brad Renner, speaking for Paul Matt, this is Cortez Paul, Balls on Court Podcast. Take care, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy New Year.